Hi, Liz. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Gloria?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in to Gabbing with Girlfriends. And I'm speaking to my really good girlfriend, Liz Erman, who I've known forever. How long have we known each other?
Longer than we'd probably want to admit to this,
we,
but
we knew each other when we were five.
yeah,
We
that's it.
didn't, but we have known each other forever. We've been through a couple of bands together, baby showers together, millions of things, and we're still friends. I don't know how that happens, but I'm happy we are. So I first met Liz when I don't even know who I was working. Snake River Conspiracy, maybe.
Yeah. You just started working with them.
And you were at Warner Brothers, and we loved working together so much. We found another band to work together there. And then that was it, right? At Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and then at Rhino.
Continued on with Sabbath at Rhino. And here we are. So going back 100 years ago, when we first started doing these things together, it was an entirely different industry. It freaks me out how different it is. I remember in those days, record labels used to say things like, they'd love a band, the band would showcase everything would be great. And they'd say things like, do you have your own van? And there was never like, how many followers do you have? Because we didn't even have the internet, did we? Well, we didn't have social media.
Yeah, no social media, websites were the primary thing. And like the cutting edge thing was trying to get an email list together.
Yeah, that's right. And samplers.
Yeah, lots of samplers and street teams.
Isn't that funny? Do people still do street teams?
Um, you know, Up until the pandemic, on occasion, we'd hire street teams to maybe market around other tours that were happening here. And I know that's back up and running again, but like hand to hand materials aren't quite as popular, I don't think, right at the minute, at least not with the genres I'm working.
So what do you do? Like if you hire a street team now, and are there really companies that are street team companies the way they were?
Yeah, there's a few left that will, go outside a venue and hand out postcards, old style.
So it's not obviously it's not 2 song cassettes anymore. It's so that's what it is. It's postcards telling people about a band and their website or their social media, right?
Yeah, a lot of QR codes these days.
Oh, that's very difficult for me.
But nothing in our general like toolbox of what we do, really. It would be an exceptional situation where it was like just such a big opportunity that we couldn't pass it up.
So what kind of music do you think mainly does that sort of thing?
I think if you have an artist that gets a really big opening slot opportunity, there's room there to have potential new fans walk away with something.
See, I would have thought that if you've got a really good opening slot, that you don't need that then, that you really only need it if you're trying to get to somebody else's audience. If you had an act who and there was a similar act or that will someday have the same audience as a band playing at, Staples, for example, Kia State, whatever it's called now, then I would think those are the people you'd want to give pass out postcards or QR codes or whatever it is. No?
It's another option for sure if it's like so perfectly a line that you think it will work, or it's a genre where people are really open to hearing artists that are similar. In terms of trying to be really cost efficient, though, there is probably a higher chance people will just toss a postcard of something that they don't have awareness of prior.
Yeah, I get it.
And sometimes when you're seeing something live that's an opening artist, they might not be great about mentioning what their name even is, or you forget
right.
later in the line to buy a drink. And so
that's,
that extra bit helps if you have resources.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, that has to be far more cost effective than back in the day of sampler, of like 2-song cassettes or CD samplers, right?
Yeah, although there's some artists now, a lot of them, you know, on the indie level that are doing cassettes as kind of an ironic thing.
I like that though.
Yeah,
I do. I like that. But can you still buy cassette players?
I think you probably have to scour used ones. I don't know.
Really?
I could buy one in a while.
Because it's kind of like the way people went through and are going through a vinyl phase. I mean, it's crazy how many people I know collect vinyl still.
Yeah, it's like such a great way to really see the artwork.
Yeah, yeah. Once things got reduced to CD size, it was crazy. And then online, when you're looking at the tiles, it's tough. It's definitely less fun, and definitely I feel so much less collectible, right?
For sure. Like vinyl is such a collectible thing, and we're finding right now, at least on the road, people are really selling through as much vinyl as they can carry.
Really?
With them, because it's such a good souvenir piece to have.
Yeah.
Even I would bet a high percentage of people don't even actually play the vinyl. But it's a nice thing to have if you're a super fan. Yeah,
I know we've got turntables and we've got vinyl, and I don't think I've ever seen them meet. Vinyl stays in the box, and turntable, I'm not even sure where they are, because I know we have more than one, but it's crazy. But it's nice. It's nice to see. I like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that indie artists are in for the vinyl as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what other ways do you think things have changed throughout the years?
Oh my goodness, what a huge question. It's just, I think there's endless opportunity and endless platforms, you know, like back then it was really limited what you could do marketing wise. And so much was dependent on the physical retail space. And then initially just downloads, you know, so it was really hard for a band that didn't have the resources of a label behind them. But now artists are able to put music up on their own. They're unknown artists that are getting momentum. There are like many more artists, I think, that are able to generate revenue via streaming than, you know, the smaller numbers that were able to be signed to labels back then. And then so many interesting ways to market things.
So how many do you think many, I don't really know why people go to a record label now.
Well,
or certainly not a major label. I just don't know that I understand it.
Yeah. I think there's a certain type of artist that really wants to next level what they're doing. And sometimes you can get to a certain point, but not have the resources to then
go to the next level.
Yeah, go to the next level, to launch a big radio campaign, to fund everything that you want to do. I think that's where labels are really useful, and also the relationships that they bring in. And
that's true. That's very true. For an artist not signed to an indie label or a major label, how big do you think an artist can get on their own, doing everything themselves? Like when you consider, you know, the artists that were discovered. I remember like when Justin Bieber was found off of YouTube, and everybody said, never happen again. That's once in a lifetime. And now it's not YouTube, it's TikTok or whatever. But it seems like, you know, these things are just ridiculous now, how many different avenues there are for an artist to be discovered. Good, crazy, but so how big do you think somebody can get without help?
It's a pretty broad question, but it is interesting to see, at least in some of the artists we've worked with, the kind of momentum they can get, you know, before they have a big press campaign or radio campaign or any of those things happening. You know, some really solid activity on TikTok can generate millions of streams in the DSP world. So, I think that's happening fairly frequently now. And then from there, like trying to solidify a more extensive career than just being known as a TikTok artist. That's where the label comes in and helps. But it is amazing the volume of streams that an artist can get with that.
TikTok is still a phenomenon to me, no matter how many times I play with it, no matter how many times I have a look. I just don't get it. I don't get any of it. And I know that artists post, multiple times a day or multiple times a week, at least. And then I don't know if you told me this or who told me this, but somebody said for an artist that doesn't have a lot to post, that if you have something to post and you post it on Monday, and if you post it again on Wednesday, entirely different people will see it.
Yeah, it's very true. It doesn't deliver like other social media properties to your followers. It, tries to find the like audience that'll be receptive to it. So if you keep that in mind, it might depend on the time of day or where you put it out there. Oh. It's also geographically related.
So if you post, even take music out of the equation now. So if you post your dog doing somersaults to some trendy tune on TikTok and then post that, I don't understand the algorithm anyway, but then how is it determined who's going to see that?
They have, recognition factors that they are able to tell within the video, and they'll serve it up to a few people, and it will evaluate, whether people are watching it all the way through or if they're engaging to the video, and then forward it on from there. So it just depends on whether it's something that's sticky and people are watching it.
Because that's important, that people watch all the way through, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the factors that they...
So if you have a 4-second video and a 12-second video and a 20-second video, you're obviously going to make it through the 4-second video.
Mm-hmm. The average watch time, I think, on TikTok is around like 6 or 7 seconds. So
it's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. So if you have a 20-second video and you only watch 6 seconds, that's not algorithmically, which I know isn't a word, but that doesn't help anybody with anything because it's not watched all the way through, right?
Correct. It doesn't register as something that people are engaging with. So that's why a lot of people will do those sort of videos that have reveals at the end that keep you guessing what's going to happen. What is the person going to pull out of the box, or what are they going to do at the end? And then that helps the video be, more widely viewed.
I get it. I mean, I don't get it. I get what you're saying, but it's just, again, I think you have to be under a certain age to really understand TikTok, because it's just, don't get it. I don't get it.
Pretty amazing place to also see like music that's really been out forever all of a sudden has its moment there too, which I think is really gratifying to see.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So for example, so somebody could have something out last year and only just be discovered today.
Yeah, or 10 years ago.
And it's only discovered today because it was put with a video that people wanted to watch. Is that right?
Yeah. Think of the cranberry juice Fleetwood Mac guy.
Yeah, that's funny. That's unbelievable. I don't even get it, though. Yeah. It's unbelievable how big that got, but I don't get how it. Okay, so was he on a skateboard or something? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on a skateboard and just decides to do it to that song, posts it, song goes crazy. He gets a zillion views. I don't really know what his job is, so I don't know that it means anything to him as a career. It was certainly good for Fleetwood Mac royalties, right?
Mm-hmm. And there are people in the TikTok space that or influencers because they know how to make the videos that do.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, have you ever found music that you liked from TikTok or YouTube or any other social media platform?
That's a really good question. I think I'm one of those people that is more like I stand by and cheer when something that I've always liked gets its chance. There, I might not be the demo of the average person there, but I think there's something for everyone on all of those platforms. You just have to dig enough to find it.
It's different from the time when we all thought Justin Bieber never happened again. So, but again, that was pre-TikTok too. So anyway, it's really interesting. Even if I don't understand it, it's interesting. So, okay, so we've acknowledged that music's changed. We've acknowledged that there's so many more fun and different ways to market now than there was. So knowing all these things, are there things about the way the industry was that you miss?
That's a really good question. I think there was sometimes, at least for me personally, like a perception that there was more time to explore any one area. Like here, there's so many different platforms that you have to pay attention to, so many details that sometimes it's harder to make a difference in any one area. But that said, I think if things had stayed the same and I was still marketing just CDs, I'd probably be really bored.
Yeah, you probably would have stopped anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think that probably would have gotten tedious for you. I just thought about, okay, so when back in the day, artists used to grow quite a bit geographically. Like they'd go into wherever, Cincinnati, and do residencies or whatever, or just even if they didn't do residencies in Cincinnati, they'd build up a fan base in the Midwest or whatever. And but now that doesn't even exist, does it?
No, it's a whole different thing though, because the way streaming works, you could just be really like isolated in your home country. Say you're from Australia. A lot of artists there tend to still have like most of their streaming momentum in that country, and it might be hard to break out. Or you could be lucky right at the very beginning and land on some playlists and then have some, organic traction from there that builds you in countries you've never been in before. And there'll be an interesting mix sometimes on an artist that is, maybe from the US, but responding on, playlists in Southeast Asia. So those end up being early markets to target, even though they've never been there.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know that I even knew that playlists were geographical.
Yeah, there's some playlists that are, programmed out of different countries, and then some playlists, just the listener base might not align with where the artist is from. And then that opens up a lot of opportunity if it's, responding well on that playlist and they're growing a lot of followers in that country.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. But also, I mean, even taking the geographics away from it, artists don't have to build their fan base on the road anyway. And I know, that was really the only way rock bands could do it, because they didn't get as much love at radio as pop bands. But now it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah, there are artists though that like touring can be a big component of what they're doing if that's what they're about. And I do find it's a real test in terms of whether the streaming velocity is transferring into real fan growth and acquisition. There are certainly artists that stream really well, but on passive playlists, so they don't have an active fan base and have a hard time selling tickets. And then there's other bands where they may not have toured in years, and yet their venue sizes have doubled and tripled by the time they get back to a market, because it is something that resonates with real fans that want to see them live.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because no matter how many things, no matter how much you listen to a band online, or no matter how many videos you watch, or what kind of performance you see of a band online, there's nothing like seeing a band live anyway. So, and do you think touring is pretty much back to normal since the pandemic? Do you think we've reached pre-pandemic ticket sales?
It's hard to say, because at the start of fall, I did see quite a few bigger artists canceling tours
because of illness.
Yeah, or a lot of concern or sensitivity about ticket sales and the cost of being on the road, especially overseas. But we've certainly had more artists than I can count touring.
Oh my God, I can't even believe it. Every time I see on Instagram, you at another gig, I'm like, oh my God, don't you sleep?
Yeah, not as much as I've wanted to. Yeah, and some amazing like sold out shows really on the artists that we have had coming through. So I do think, at least from what
Picking up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't even know how people, with the price of gas, I don't even know how people are touring. It's if you fly or go on a tour bus or whatever you do, there's still gas and it's still very expensive.
Yeah.
I'm glad people seem to be on the road again, and I'm glad to see you at all these concerts, because you seem to be having a great time, and having a great time is definitely key. So, so that's good. And are you quite busy now till the end of the year, or things starting to slow down now with the holidays coming up?
Not really for us. So many artists have so much great music to put out now, especially everything that was recorded during the pandemic and beyond. And, so we have artists releasing straight through December into January.
Wow.
And a lot of holiday releases as well.
Oh, you do? Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's cool. Do you have anything new you're excited about?
Oh, so many things. I hate to call out any one.
Oh, no, I get it. Because if you start doing that, you'll forget one, and then you're going to feel guilty for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I should or not.
That's okay. So other than spending your time at a lot of gigs lately, what else have you been up to? I know you love to ski. I know it's not ski season just yet, but you must be getting excited for it coming up.
Yeah, I think there's probably already some snow starting to show up. Have you guys had any in Utah?
There has been some. It's gone. Yeah. And it came very early. So I just hope it continues, because we need the water there anyway.
Yeah.
So is it the same in Wyoming? Like, is it quite dry? Otherwise, like drought-ish?
No, not the same problems that Utah's having. I don't think, at least the corner of Wyoming.
Well, that's nice. That's good. And I was due to see you a couple of weeks ago, and Liz has the most gorgeous dog who's afraid of, it's not funny because it's sad really, but she's afraid of storms. And LA had its first storm in ages the night we were meant to see each other.
Yeah, thunder and lightning is not her friend, that's for sure.
No, that's really sad. It was sad I didn't get to see you that night, but it was really sad that she doesn't like that.
Yeah, fortunately, we don't get that much of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's lucky. That's really lucky. So if you're not with your dog, and you're not on the slopes, and you're not at a gig, what do you like doing? You're a great cook. Do you still cook a lot?
I kind of got tired of my own cooking in the pandemic.
That's when everybody else started learning to cook, or started loving to cook, especially baking, making bread and whatever. Did you go through that sourdough phase?
No, it was intimidating to me, but it's something I'd be interested in learning for sure.
I have a friend who never baked anything. She definitely never made bread, but she just wasn't a baker. She's a good cook, but she wasn't a baker. And she was baking, numerous loaves of sourdough during the whole pandemic. And she wouldn't see anybody because you weren't able to at that period of the pandemic. So she'd call and say, okay, there's a loaf on your mailbox.
Aw, you're so lucky.
I know, so lucky. She's really, really good. And since life got back to normal, I don't think she's made any bread. So, so that was kind of, I guess the pandemic was good for people that love to eat bread, good for people that love to learn to bake and cook, whatever. But I think that, yeah, I actually thought there were a few silver linings with the pandemic. Sometimes I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we were all, I don't literally mean this, but sometimes I sit back and I think, wouldn't it be nice if we were all kind of on our own again, so we could relax and slow down a little bit and start appreciating the things that we learned to appreciate during the pandemic. But I'm glad we're free to go out. Have you had COVID?
Nope, haven't had it, knock on wood.
I know, same. It's pretty amazing the number of people that I know that have it now. I know 3 different people that are, multi-boosted and multi-boosted, and that they're now on their second or third bout of COVID. I mean, obviously not as sick as if they hadn't had injections, or vaccines, but it's still pretty crazy how bad people are still feeling.
Yeah, it's worrying for sure.
Okay, so aside from doing those things and not even like cooking for yourself so much anymore, do you do any specific hobbies, or you don't play video games, do you?
No,
on your phone?
No, not really. I love listening to podcasts.
You do?
Yes, I do. And I love gardening and hiking, being anything outdoors, really. I think it comes from sitting behind a computer a lot for work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I have discovered 2 things that have kind of taken over my hobby life, and that's Rummikub. Did you ever play that?
No, what's that?
Well, you can learn to play it on your phone. It's a tile game. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like when you buy the actual box, the physical game, it's for 8 plus, so it's not difficult. I'm like addicted to it, and Candy Crush. Those are the 2 things that happened to me during the pandemic. But now I love playing Rummikub with my grandson, my 10-year-old grandson, and anybody that'll play with me. So, yeah.
And do you let them win sometimes, or
no, and never. My grandson has beaten me at this. It's numbers, so I guess you have to be somewhat mathematically inclined. I was in Utah and I was playing with a friend of mine came to visit me there, and I actually didn't have a game there, so she stopped at Target on her way, bought a game, and we got there and she'd never played before. She now plays with her kids, but she'd never played before. And we're playing, and it's like not major counting skills. You don't have to be a mathematician to play the game. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing her sit there with her phone, looking down at her phone. I'm like, is she texting while she's playing? I can't even do that. And I'm pretty good at this game. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm on my calculator. And I'm like, you what? Goes, it's just too frustrating. It's just too hard for me to sit there while you're staring at me trying to count at these numbers up. So that was definitely different. But yeah, so I'm happy to play with anybody, even if you have to use a calculator, which you don't have to do. But so yes, we should do
extra points for her for being resourceful.
No kidding. And even more points for her for being honest. I would have pretended to be texting. Yeah. I was just thinking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then it led me to be thinking about the Grammys. Do you have anybody that has any song potential in the Grammys?
We have a bunch of artists that are up for to be nominated. I don't know that they'll make the next round. It's not like our style necessarily to be super, out there with a lot of our artists. Certainly they're, super high caliber artists, and I wish that they would all win Grammys. But.
Yeah, I never quite paid attention to how it worked. And it's interesting how many people make it into the first round and just how hard it is from there, because there's a zillion artists that actually, I guess, I don't think there's really any prerequisite as to what determines if you can make it into that first round. Is there?
No, they just listen to it to make sure it's suitable for the genre it's put forward for it. Yeah.
Because I know there was a song that a friend of mine who's a songwriter had written, and my husband played anyway. This band did the song, and then my husband guested on it. And then when Grammy season opened up, she texted me and said, "Did anybody put the song forward?" I'm like, "Forward for what?" I didn't realize that, if it's that everything is eligible. I never knew that. And I probably never knew that because labels do that work. They put the songs forward, not the artist. But this poor band, it's a Finnish band, and their manager's German, and I think doesn't really understand the whole whatever. So yes, somebody put them up for, the first round. They're in the first round, and I'm sure won't get any further, but I just never even knew how that worked. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if there's also an award in Finland that it could be put up for.
I don't know. And if there is, their manager probably wouldn't know anyway. So I don't think he's terribly clever, but whatever. And I don't even care if he hears this. But so anyway, I didn't realize, but and I hope some of your bands that are in that part make it to the next part.
Yeah,
the next round.
We'd be thrilled if that happened. Yeah.
No, I'm sure. Do you remember that guy? And I remember he got a Grammy. He was from Rhino, and he got a Grammy for artwork.
Masaki?
Yeah. Do you ever speak to him? Are you in touch or no?
I messaged with him like a few years back. He's still working as a creative director. So should you?
Not there though.
No, independently. And he's had other Grammy nominations since then. I think he does work for Rhino still, just not there in particular. But
that's cool. I liked him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Really, really talented.
Very, very. Oh yeah, I should get his information from you, but later. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know, Gloria.
Me neither. I'm new at this.
I would say, like, I feel like because there is such opportunity for artists right now, like there are a lot of them coming through that I find just really inspiring to work with, either artists that have messages about like what they've been through, or, trying to share what they've been through with fans that really connect to them for one reason or another. Really building a sense of community with their fans is so possible now with the ability to communicate online. And
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And I had one artist that we work with that's, consistently before, during, and after the pandemic, like donated a lot of their ticket proceeds to different charities. And they're not a huge band, but it was just, part of what they're about as humans. And, really,
I love it.
Really touching to see. Wild Rivers, if you're wondering, check them out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Because that's awesome. It's really nice when, people that have the ability to give back in some way, if it's, just using their platform to be able to speak on behalf of whatever it is. And then if it's to, give a percentage of proceeds or whatever it is, it's nice that there are people that are willing to, to make that stand, giving back is really important. And it's such an easy thing to do. And again, even if it's not monetary, there's other ways to give back. And it's really nice when people do. Years ago, Bruce Springsteen, which is a totally different level, but in England, he did a tour where a certain percentage of his earnings from every tour date went to whatever the town was, their whatever they needed, whatever their, like back then there were a lot of coal mining issues. And that's where a lot of the money had gone in different cities that were coal cities. And I love that. And the best part of the whole story was the donation didn't go through if it went to the press. Like, he didn't want the recognition. He wasn't doing it for, isn't he great? He just wanted to do it. And that was the first artist I knew that really, gave back in that kind of way. And since then, so many people have, again, even if it's not financial, even if it's a matter of, going on their social media and saying, helping others realize that there's a problem with whatever it is. So that's awesome. So everybody should check this band out. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, nothing too exciting this weekend. No shows for me. So
I should think not.
Yeah.
I'm having a nice quiet one too. I can't remember what channel this was on, and I think it was on Apple Plus, but I'm not sure. But if you feel like donating 10 hours of your time to a really great show, Bad Sisters, it's really good. Irish, and I didn't use subtitles, but I probably could have. But I knew there was no way my husband was going to sit there with the subtitles, so I didn't bother. But really good. I could have watched. I watched it in 3 days. So that's
yeah.
That was
Check
like
it out.
Bad Sisters. Okay, well, I guess that's we did a weather report, a TV show review, and we know all about your gigging life. So I guess we kind of covered it all.
Yay.
For now. Do you get kids for Halloween?
I do. I'm gonna probably be in San Diego though, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. Like, if I have a neighbor put some candy out, or they'll just
watch it.
A little disappointed this year, which I feel bad, but
I never have
not a ton. What about you?
No, and I think I want to find somebody to go visit their kids because I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
It was lovely speaking to you. Thanks so much for coming on, and I look forward to us doing this again.
Yeah.
Because once you do it once, you have to do a part 2. That was one of the rules I didn't tell you about.
Well, I'm always happy to chat with you, Gloria.
Oh, I'm really happy you did. And I love chatting with you, and I love seeing you. So, I never really understood this happened during the pandemic, where everybody got into this FaceTime thing, and people would start calling me on FaceTime. And I'm like, no, I'm not putting on makeup. I'm not getting dressed. Don't do this. That was one thing that I don't know if that happened to you a lot during the pandemic, but it did me. But now that everybody knows never to FaceTime me, when I do something like this, it's so nice to be able to see who you're talking to instead of text, or instead of even being on the phone. It's nice to be able to see each other. So
yeah, I think it helps even on business calls. You get to know the person a little bit better, and
you do. I had a business call yesterday that was on something called Microsoft Teams. Did you ever do that?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like Zoom, but
yeah, it's like Zoom, but not Zoom. And so I went to do it, and I actually made an effort I was like all ready for this call and whatever. And I did it. I got on and it said, my browser didn't support their video. They could hear me, but I actually made the effort to be seen.
Aw.
And everybody was there but me. So I don't know why that was, but I'm going to figure it out before my next one. It's the only one I've ever had. So now I know for next time.
Yeah.
Live and learn. Anyway, thank you very much, Liz. And thank you for everybody that listened. And I guess that's it. So bye for now. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Good to see you.
You too. Bye, Liz. Bye. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and be sure to follow Gabbing with Girlfriends on here so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media for more fun and in-depth conversations. Thank you.